What if your character was put onto a test? A test that has a price tag of $4.56 million. Dollars. Welcome to Squid Strengths, the show where we explore high pressure decisions through the lens of our innate talents. I'm your host, Coach Bryant Raymond, a Gallup certified strengths coach and player 164 from Squid Game The Challenge Season 2. My guest today is August Schroeder, player 111 from Squid Game The Challenge. He was unfortunately eliminated in episode 4 in a brutal game of Mingle, but his story was one of the most powerful I heard from the entire show. So he went to the game with a very important promise to his late mother, and that promise was immediately put to the test. So I've asked August to take his strengths assessment, and I wanted to just hear from him what he thought. But first of all, I want to introduce you to my guest. Thank you so much for joining us on Squid Strengths. Welcome, August.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm so excited. This is so much fun. Everyone who's a player in our season is a part of our family, and I loved like hanging out and spending time with other players because we are what made the show. Without the other players, and there is no show.
I just wish we got to meet in person, but there's 456 of us, so
Yeah, it's hard to
I'm glad we
meet.
get to meet on the other side.
Yep, it's hard to meet hundreds of people. Even if we were there for days, it's hard to meet everyone because everyone's always running around, talking to everyone else, trying to meet everyone. You're running in one direction, and then half a hundred people are running in the other direction. It's hard to cross paths with
Quite
everyone.
literally.
Yeah, yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah, they split us in half right off the bat, like without even a chance to think or like get a second to just accept the fact that we're actually doing this game. They cut us right in half, and it's like, dang, like there goes half of the people that I wanted to
Very
talk
good.
to.
I 100% would have chatted with you if we found each other there, like if I saw you. And you had an awesome number, by the way.
Thank you.
111.
It's an
I
angel
mean,
number. It brought good luck.
I've been very lucky so far, but at some point, everyone's luck is going to run out, and I'm worried that mine might run out sooner than others.
what's also cool are your top five strengths, and it's actually not a surprise at all. Your story arc, the edit you got, it makes perfect sense with your strengths. So this might be the first time you're taking something like a strengths assessment. Perhaps this also might be like a coaching session that you're all getting to listen to. So your top five are developer, positivity, activator, includer, and belief. What were your thoughts when you saw those pop up?
I definitely had a chance to look at them after I took the quiz, and my first thought were like, yeah, that seems about right. Especially positivity. I'm a very positive kind of guy. I always believe in looking at things in a positive way. That doesn't mean I'm naive to the bad things in life. I'm a positive realist, as in I accept things for what they are, but I also understand that we have the ability to make bad things better, and we also have the ability to make good things the best things for us.
That's definitely the plus side of positivity. And actually, you're also aware of what I call the shadow side, naivete, for example. Like everything's going to be just fine, like false optimism, as you could say.
False optimism is something a lot of people think that I do a lot, but in reality, it's like I'm not optimistic just for optimistic's sake. I'm optimistic because I know that in many situations we have the ability to make things better. I'm not always going to be like, oh, everything's always going to be all right. I'll acknowledge that sometimes things are bad, but I'll also acknowledge that if I'm with someone, hey, we can figure it out and make it better. We don't have to stay at rock bottom. We can climb out of that well.
Yeah, everybody knows who August is, but I don't think
That's
it's not
like,
always a
what do you
bad
mean by
thing.
that? Like, do people talk about me or like?
No, no one talks about you, but I do know that people know who you are. People know that you're genuine.
You showed also a lot of vulnerability, which I appreciate. Again, not a surprise from somebody who has number one developer. Now, in your bio, you mentioned you were the philanthropy chairman in college. For which organization?
For my fraternity, Pi Kappa Phi. So I joined the fraternity my freshman year. Amazing group of guys. Love it. Still talk to my brothers
Mhm.
to this day. Our philanthropy is a ability experience which provides aid and accommodations for people with disabilities. There wasn't a whole lot of direction to promoting that organization within my fraternity. And I'm like, hey, this is our philanthropy that we're partnering with. We need to do something. So I ran for philanthropy chairman, and I was the first philanthropy chairman in over 6 years to raise over $10,000.
You have developer, so you see the potential in others, includer, which is all about bringing people in. So this role screams your name. How did that role impact the way that you viewed your role in the show?
Yeah, so I just naturally always look for the best in people. That doesn't mean I turn a blind eye to the worst aspects of people. It just means I know that everyone has an ability to be good and to do good things. And going into the show, I love socially connecting with people. Part of my social connection is highlighting the good parts of who they are and being there for them when they need to fight through the bad parts of who they are. And so going into the show, I'm like, this gives me the ability to be a good friend. One of the opening quotes in the show, I believe Mackenzie says, yes, I want to be liked because if I'm not liked, it means I have a target on my back. And I have the same philosophy. I want to go in there and make friends so I don't have a target on my back, but also so I can learn more about other people. Yes, this is a fight for a lot of money, but it's also a chance to experience people from all over the world that I would typically never get the chance to.
Being adopted makes you feel special, but on the other hand, all you can think about is your birth parents, the people who are supposed to love you, were the ones who kind of tossed you aside. So the feeling of needing people to like me has been a constant in my whole life, to where sometimes I would lose track of who I am in order to be with a group that I never belonged with anyways.
And you had a chance to be in the game for a good amount of the game. So, what's one thing that surprised you from the perspective of somebody that sees the potential of others, especially in a game that's so extrinsically motivated? I think somebody with high developer is probably pretty rare to find in that dorm, especially further down the line.
So I got down to basically the final 60. I think I'm officially 54th place or so overall. So I was in there for a good amount of time, and I noticed that a lot of people are like motivated by the money, and throughout the games in high pressure situations, some bad sides of people came out. I mean, we saw it during episode 3 catch when Dalton turned around and was like not letting Viper throw to him. He was like yelling, he was cussing, he was screaming, and his actions came from a place of good intention in the sense that he wanted to protect himself and his team. He wanted to protect his team as well. However, sometimes our intent doesn't always match up with how we actually act. And a good example is that Viper Dalton fight. Another example is Ryan and Mark. Ryan is 272, I believe, who called player 100 out and basically
Yeah.
put him down like we were in middle school again. And Ryan went in with a pure intention of trying to find a way to protect his team, but his intention didn't match his actions. And there was a lot of other stuff like that happening that they didn't show where people would just not exactly lose track of who they are, but they would let this high pressure situation make them do things they typically wouldn't. I always want to see the best in people, but when there's so much money on the line, it's so easy for the worst parts of people to come out.
First of all, the Mark strategy was just so tough. And I understand it might be especially tough for you because you have a very special relationship with Mark that wasn't really shown on a show. Would you mind talking a little more about
Yeah.
that?
So Mark and I were best friends since day one. On day one, during one of the meal times, I was walking around and I saw a group of people sitting off to the side. So I went up to introduce myself, and Mark and I instantly bonded. 111 is actually the number of his high school drama teacher's classroom, and his high school
Oh,
drama teacher was a good friend to him. And so we instantly connected because I'm like, well, you like drama, like theater wise. We like reality TV, I like reality TV. We both follow the same podcasters, we watch all the same TV shows. So we instantly connected. And we would talk about not just our interests, but also strategy as well, because we both love thinking about the strategy. And we just drew very deep in our bond. It got to a point where on one of the days, he pulled me off to the side and we had an hour-long conversation about how I'm like the younger brother he's always wanted, and he's like the older brother I've always wanted. And we're basically the same person that just happened to be born a few years apart and in different areas of the world.
would be amazing in a future episode of Squid Strengths to have both of you on. You and Mark have by far not just the best edits, but the most poignant edits. Now, I'd be very curious to see what his top strengths are and then start to kind of decipher that. But from your perspective, when you look at your developer, positivity, activator, includer, belief, do you feel just a lot of them align very closely with Mark? You both have a pretty strong edit. It's very clear the type of character that the show has given you, but that it's just one thing. What's something you saw in Mark in real life? And also what's something you think he would say that he sees in you?
Would definitely say positivity is something that we saw in each other because that's something we talked a lot about. We talked a lot about how we are so blessed to be there to begin with that no matter where we went out, this was going to be a good experience overall. We both love reality TV. We both thought that we would never be on reality TV. So even if we went home day one, we would have been so happy with the experience because we love behind the scenes stuff.
Mhm.
You know, even if you're there on day one, you get to see all the behind the scenes stuff, getting your costumes, the mics, meeting the producers, seeing the sets behind the stage. He was always so positive because every day we were in there is one day longer than we thought either of us would be in there. He was just exuding positivity. So I would definitely say he's a positivity kind of guy too.
Definitely very, very apparent. And yeah, I saw you guys are also on Rob Has a Podcast. It's kind of a big deal. So that's pretty awesome to get to share your story on that kind of a platform as well. I know you love Survivor and I love Survivor. Let me ask you just one thing. What's something that you learned from just being a Survivor super fan that you brought into Squid Game?
I just love Survivor. Survivor taught me a lot about hope in a dire situation because there's a lot of instances. Kyle and Camilla is a good example. Kyle and Camilla got swapped onto a tribe where they were down in numbers. They had no way out. One of them was for sure going home, but they didn't give up. They worked together. They figured out the numbers. And in a situation where one of them was sure to go home, they found a way for both of them to stay. And then they made it to the final four, right? And then Kyle went on winning. And it just goes to show that no matter how down in numbers you are, no matter how much of a wall your back is against, if you sit and think deeply about it, you can find a way out of it. And that is something I took into the game. You know, I took into the game knowing that, yes, the odds are very, very low. 456 people, only one winner. You kind of go there knowing it's probably not going to be me. But Survivor taught me if there's a situation, which is almost every day in Squid Game, if you think deeply about it, and if you have a good personal connection like Kyle did with Camilla, you can use your personal connections, you can use your number ones in there, you can put that together and find a way out of a bleak situation to keep going further in the game.
So you met Mark, for example. Was that a public alliance or was it very obvious you guys were like besties?
Everyone knew we were besties. Everyone would always talk about us being like a cute power duo. Everyone knew we were closely aligned. Everyone knew that if Mark knew something, I knew it. And if I knew something, Mark knew it. That one was a very public one, but I did have some more like low-key relationships as well.
How did you manage all that? Especially somebody who's an includer, you probably want to bring a lot of people in, maybe to a fault to like bring in on too much information, for example. And also, you can't have 100 alliances. Like that's just not manageable. How did you manage all that as somebody who's naturally an includer?
This is actually a skill I got from Survivor. Because of Survivor, I've played online reality games or ORGs, and I'm able to separate the friendship from the strategy. So I can always put on my friendship hat where I can go around, be super close with everyone in a friendship, emotional connection way. I talked to a lot of people, got super close with a lot of people, but when it's time to get going, I can easily put on my strategy hat, and that's when I have a few number one allies that aren't just friends. They're people that I can talk about strategy, that I can work together to actually go far with. Because everyone in there I was friends with, but I'm not going to go far with everyone in there. That's just the nature of the game. So when I put my strategy hat on, I'm like, okay, I need to cut out emotions to some degree with this one person so we can go back and forth on what needs to be done, how we need to do it, and how we can ensure we do it in the right way.
I came in here and I was like, because I don't have like a set alliance, so the moment I came in here,
Now you do.
There was a game that had a twist. It was the catch game, but you didn't need to catch anything to be saved. How did your strengths and intuition come into play in making a key decision? And how did that also help you keep focused, knowing that once you made that decision, just like X's and O's, it's really up to fate?
Yeah, so in catch, you come in, there's four squares. Every square has X amount of dots. We immediately counted every dot because we had a feeling we'd be standing on them and we go, oh, there's dots for everyone except the three players. And we're like, okay, three people are going to be left out. And then they say every player must grab a dot. We're all like, three people are going to be left out. No one wanted to be left out except for me. I'm a very intuition kind of guy. Almost every day I went with my gut except for my last day. For some reason, the last day I was in there, I went against my gut, and you see how that turned out. But my gut was telling me, stand in the middle, stand in the middle, stand in the middle. It's a big risk, but I love taking risks because, I'm a high risk, high reward kind of guy. One, it's fun. I was thinking this is going to be fun. I like taking risks. Two, I'm a reality TV fan, first and foremost. And part of my brain was like, okay, well, staying on the dot's going to be entertaining. That's going to be very entertaining. I want to see what happens because this is gonna be a lot of fun. But then three, there was these two girls. Gigi and Beth were best friends in the game, and they were trying to get into a square together, but they couldn't find a square that had two spots open. They wanted to stay together, but they didn't want to be in the middle. So I'm like, here, the dot I could have taken that someone was saving for me. One of you can go into that dot, and I'll work with you guys to find someone else to step out so the other person can take the other dot so you guys can stay together because they were so afraid of being separated. And I don't want to be part of the reason you guys are separated. So that gives me more motivation to stand in the middle and convince Heath. Heath was the one that very graciously gave up his dot to stand in the middle with me and Zonti to allow Beth and Gigi to stay together because they were too afraid to break apart.
Well, that's also a great social game, right? What came to your decision? It almost feels like the real Squid, like the drama where you're literally picking horses. How did you make that decision?
Every decision I make is to take my own fate in my own hands, and now I'm putting my fate in someone else's hands, and it's terrifying.
Please make your choice swiftly.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. I think I know who I'm going for.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do 437. Karim.
So, a little bit of a backstory. For the longest time, thought Karim, player 437, he was coming after me ever since day one. Some people told me that they kept on seeing him eyeing me down or watching my every move. Some people told me they thought he was gonna come after me, so that made me immediately not trust him. He was the number one person I trusted the least in the dorms since day one. And we go in there, and at first we're excited. They go, you guys don't have to play the game. I'm like, hell yeah. I get to sit back and relax. This is exactly what I wanted. But then they go, but you can still be eliminated because now you have to pick someone to play the game on your behalf. And that terrified me because all my agency in the game was gone. Because we didn't even know what the game was going to be. We didn't even know it was going to be catch yet.
Oh, so when you picked, you didn't know it was catch.
Yep. Everyone leaves the dorm. No idea what the game is going to be. They put all the faces up on the board and then they tell us to pick a face. And I'm like, we have no idea what the game is going to be. We don't know if it's physical or strategic. We don't know if it's going to be like battleships or tug of war. We had no idea what it was going to be. So we had to just go off of what we knew about each player's strengths and weaknesses. And at first I was terrified, but the moment I looked up at the board, it was instinct. I didn't even think twice. I didn't even consider anyone else. I'm like, player 437, because I know he's coming after me. I know that he's smart, he's strategic, he's athletic, and something in my gut told me that if I want to make it through this round, I have to learn how to trust someone that I don't trust at all. I already took a big risk standing in the middle. Now it's time to take a big risk by putting my fate in the hands of someone I didn't trust. And if we get through it, maybe that's a sign that I should start building a relationship with him. And maybe we could actually be allies in the future. So I said, I'm going to pick Karim, player 437. No hesitation, no second thought, didn't consider anyone else. I'm like, that's who I need to pick.
That is 4D chess, my friend.
Yeah.
Is that social game? Because obviously then it completely changes the dynamic. Did you see that happen afterwards?
Yeah, so part of the reason I chose him, one, because I knew he was going to be strong. I knew he was going to be smart. I knew he was going to do whatever it took to get by. Two, I was told he was coming after me. By picking him, I immediately put him in the spotlight. He was in the background. I picked him to the forefront of the game. I can tell everyone I picked him because I knew he would do whatever it took to win. And by saying those words, which I did, it would make people kind of go, oh crap, this guy's a threat. We need to think about getting him out of there. So it would help convince people to want him out. But at the same time, it would convince him that I trusted him because I picked him. It's going to make him go, oh, wait, if August trusts me, maybe I should be his ally instead. So it kind of hit like all three areas.
And you kind of hit all 5 strengths.
Yeah.
Because your belief, you're trusting your belief, right? Your belief, and there's a lot of input that comes into this play. But at the end of the day, what you're sharing is when you say your gut, let's just call that your belief, right? And your positivity as well, looking at the bright side of somebody. So then there's that developer, not just yourself, right? You are trying to understand, okay, I need to learn how to embrace people that I sense may not like me for whatever reason. The 4D chess move is that you believe by selecting them and by highlighting them, they themselves would have to develop and their role would shift. And their role would shift both in your mind and your relationship as well as their relationship with other people. To whatever degree you thought this intentionally or not, 4D chess. And the activator, you were like right in the middle. Like you did not hesitate.
It was one of those moments that made me believe I had what it took to, go further because everything I wanted to happen that day happened. I put a target on Karim. I convinced Karim to trust me, so we had a deep conversation about that. He gave me some information about other alliances. It helped me be less scared of Karim as a player and made me more open to connecting with him. And at the same time, it connected me with all the other players because they know that
All
what
of
we
his
went
efforts,
through,
yeah.
yeah, it was a hard thing to go through. And it's one of those things like you said, my gut or my belief. I am a very intuitive person, and when I go with my belief, it almost always turns out right. I did a lot of stuff in the games based off my belief. I could give you a whole list of things I did that they didn't exactly show or that they did show that were very belief oriented because I'm just always a believer.
That's a game where all the worst parts of the best people come out. The game truly becomes toxic in a way to where you have to be willing to cut people you pledge allegiance to.
The betrayals that happen,
What happened?
the moral choices that people make,
Somebody needs to go.
it gives the show so much drama.
Oh, yes, no, I'm sorry.
And that just wasn't my game style. The people I trusted abandoned me.
We got to see you in the highest pressure cooker that they have, and it's a game called Mingle. And it's a game you called insane to the max, and one that you just couldn't believe that it's your life right now to play this damn game, right?
Yeah, no.
I love that line.
I can't believe this is actually our lives right now.
Thank you. I don't even remember saying it, but that's exactly in line with something I would say. Because I see everything Squid Game related as a true blessing. Even if I went home day one, it would have still been one of the best experiences for me because that's how much I love reality TV. That's how badly I want to be on reality TV and compete, where even just one day would have been, making me happy. But to get to Mingle, one of the number one games from the scripted Korean drama show, I'm like, just mind blown that I'm playing this insane game. You got the spinning carousel, you got the rooms, you got the players, you got the song that's gonna give me nightmares. And I'm just like, I'm living the dream. Like I said, I can't believe this is our lives right now.
They actually played the song. I
Yep.
mean, I guess you have to play the song, right?
They play the
Yeah.
song. They play the song from Mingle, and everyone was dancing to it. And then the song stops, the carousel stops, and they call a number. And whatever number they call, you have to get that exact number of people in the room.
Well, so Mingle, interestingly, is a very strategic game, right? In the top five, we don't see any strategic thinking strength. So, how did it feel for you as somebody who's very high on relationship building and values, being thrown into a game that's pure, cold, and calculating and backstabbing, and really strategic with regards to who I can use so that I can go further?
We're gonna keep the faith.
We are.
Player
Okay, this is
111, keeping the faith. I always hope that something good is coming anyone's way, and I always want the next outcome to be positive. But a game like Mingle is where all the worst parts of the best people come out, and that's when the game truly becomes toxic in a way to where you have to be willing to cut people you pledge allegiance to, and that's not my game style.
It's kind of funny because you see evidence of it in the show. Because when I get out, you see them talking, here's our numbers guide. I had a group of 6, and we were partnering with another group of 6 to make a group of 12. Steven and I are very good at numbers. Steven and I accurately predicted the number for the first 4 rounds, and because of that, we accurately predicted the best way to split our groups up with the groups around us and the people in our group. So we went around picking exactly who was going to be in what number and which number is going to be in what designated room. And so Steven and I, we were the leaders of our group. No one in our group would have made it as far as they did without Steven and I accurately predicting the numbers every round. I even predicted the number on the round I got out on and the round after the round I got out on. If we follow the plan and we get these specific people in these specific rooms, the people left out, not my deal, not my problem. It's fine because this is what we planned for.
I grew up with like an infinity for numbers. Game like Mingle, where it's like this massive puzzle that no one really knows what the final picture is going to be, but I'm beginning to piece that puzzle together. And if I'm putting the pieces in right, the puzzle is not looking good.
What happened was it came to a round where people didn't follow the plan we set in place, and all of a sudden we have the wrong people in the right room and then the right people in the wrong room, and they didn't follow the plan, and all of a sudden it became like the people I planned on leaving out of the room aren't the people
in
that
the
are
room.
out of the room. They're like, there's people in the room
They're in a different room.
Yeah, the people we planned on cutting are all of a sudden either safe, or the people we wanted to be safe all of a sudden are out left to dry. So I'm like, okay, well, this wasn't the plan we made. But I am a very strategic kind of guy. I love numbers. My dad is very analytical, very smart. He's an engineer. All he does is thinks in numbers and logic. My mom was very emotional. She's a bleeding heart. She's high emotional, high social connection. I'm a good combination of both of them. I'm very analytical and logical, but I'm also very emotional and social. And Mingle was the perfect game to put both of those skills to the test, and I did really good until it came down to people messing up the plans we set, in place.
What made that the difference maker? Like you were doing pretty well, at least the edit shows, until that last round where it must have been that round you're talking about. So was it just simply a reshuffling of people? Or is it actually kind of a reshuffling of dynamics and maybe certain dynamics that you didn't know existed? And those wrong people actually, enough of them knew each other or were willing to protect each other. What did you observe there that's made your plan not work?
As the rounds went on, people started kind of losing their minds. People are like, okay, but what if this plan doesn't work? I need to make sure I'm safe. And so people are running all over the place. I mean, if you watch the episode, people got kind of scary throughout Mingle. It was an insane social experiment. And I think what happened was like two players specifically that weren't supposed to be in the room came into the room, and they're not leaving, and they're pretty strong. And it's like we can't push them out, because if we try to push them out, they'd probably push one of us out. And it was just like when it came down to the moment, I'm like, there's some really good friends in here that I had planned on making it far with. There's some people in here who have more back at home relying on them. A good example is Kevin. Kevin had a baby coming on the way, right? Faith was a nurse. She's always putting others before herself. Natalie was there to represent the deaf community. There's all these people who have people relying on them back at home. And yes, while I have family at home, I'm still only 25. It's not like someone's relying on me to take care of them. In fact, I'm still kind of relying on my parents to take care of me. I don't want to be the reason these people go out, because here's the thing. There was 11 of us in that room, and there was 5 people outside of the room. If I didn't leave, all 16 people would be eliminated. And I think that's the difference, because I want to play Survivor. In Survivor, you eliminate someone one person at a time, right? And typically you set up plans to eliminate them. And this, in the heat of the moment, 16 people are going home because one person messed up the plans. And out of those 16 people, there was 4 people I thought didn't deserve to go home. I thought they deserved to move on. So I was like, I know myself. I'm strong. I will be fine. So I was actually the first one in the room. I had to fight my way up front. I turned around. I said, guys, I love you guys. This will make sense. Please keep fighting. I believe in you guys. And then I stepped out the room.
What's the number?
Five pieces.
What's the number? What number?
To the next room. To the next room. To the next room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 10. We have 10.
Got one more to get out.
Somebody needs to go!
Yeah, who wants to die? Oh, they're freaking out. Their door's wide open.
Come on,
somebody's got to go.
please.
I was the first one here.
You could have just stayed in the corner and nobody would have tried to push you out.
Yep, I was the first one in there. They needed me because I was the numbers guy. You even hear them yelling, he was the first one in here, he was the first one in here. The edit's kind of weird. They show me as being the last one in there, but that's from a different round. I had my spot if I wanted to. No one was going to push me out. No one thought I deserved to be left out. Everyone thought I deserved to have been in the room. But I'm like, in a game with 4.56 million on the line, no one deserves anything. No one really deserves anything more so than someone else, because we're all there for the same reason, to make a better life for ourselves and our family. So I'm like, I don't deserve it more so than anyone else. You could argue that I deserve it because I was the first one in there. You could argue that I deserve it because I did all the numbers. But at the end of the day, the only person who deserves to win is the person who did everything it took to be the last one standing. And that's only going to be one person, right? When you watch as much reality TV as I do, you can look at someone and go, this person has what it takes to be a winner. This person has what it takes to go far. There were some people in that room. Faith was in that room. Faith got all the way to Circle of Trust, right? They have an episode named after her. Deja and Steven were in that room. I stepped out for Deja and Steven, and they're in the final 5. One of them could potentially win. They're in the final 5, and they had one of the best rivalries out of the second batch of episodes. If I didn't step out, all of a sudden we don't get the Deja versus Steven fight. All of a sudden, Deja and Steven aren't in the final. So I'm like, it's kind of uplifting to know that what I saw in the people that made me step out was true because they proved me right by making it so far and making entertaining TV.
August was in here first, bro.
August is out there?
And he's out there.
August was our number guy. He's the reason why we made it.
And when you stepped out, just from a tactical perspective, how much time was left on the clock?
I stepped out. There was like 10 or 15 seconds left. It was coming down to like French time because we had 11. The number was 9. I stepped out. They still needed to get rid of one more person. I thought maybe by me stepping out, it would allow someone else to feel comfortable stepping out as well.
He's trying to help people. He's a good person.
I know he's a good person.
You did great.
My family's gonna be so disappointed.
Oh man, you gave your everything. You gave your everything.
August, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I go outside. I hug the people outside. I say it's okay. And then Megan steps out and runs to another room saying, guys, come over here. There's only 5 seconds left.
No, we need 9.
Oh my God.
It's 9, guys. We're done.
And, we go over to the room with her, but I'm like, there's only 6 of us. Why are we going into this room? I even said it. Why are we going into a room? There's 6 of us. We're dead, guys. We're dead. And then time is up and we walk out and I sit down and I cry.
My family's gonna be so disappointed in me. My whole life, I've always had this fear of being abandoned. As I stood outside the door, it was like I was abandoned yet again. The people I trusted abandoned me.
Knowing what that feels like literally physically what it feels like for that to pop, you found a great spot for that to happen. And I'm glad you weren't in a room.
Yeah, you can hear my head. When I lean back and I hit my head against the carousel, if you listen closely, you can hear a thud. That's my head hitting the carousel because I slammed my head back without thinking about it.
So your number 5 strength is belief. It's very clear how much your values matter. You mentioned this on the show. What was the last thing you said, I failed my family or something like that?
My whole family was counting on me because I told them I know I have what it takes to win.
They will not be disappointed in you. They'll be so proud of you. So proud.
Oh, I said, I got emotional because, I went there for my family. I promised my family, especially my mom, 2 things. I promised I would not let money or greed change who I am and how I treat people. But I also promised that I'm going to come home with the money because my dad's 62, but he's still working his ass off. My mom and my dad have always had this dream of traveling the world. And I'm like, you guys have given me so much. You guys deserve to finally have a chance to follow your dreams instead of busting your ass for me, right? So I promised them I'm going to win the money. I'm going to come home. I'm going to make sure you guys retire. I'm going to give you guys the best trip around the world that you guys deserve. So when I got out, I felt so disappointed, not because I was worried that my family was going to be disappointed in me, but more than anything, I was worried that their future was going to be disappointed in me, which is a weird thing to say. I wanted them to have a better future than what they got. And that's what I was fighting for. Was heartbroken that, I couldn't make their future better.
So that loss, it was obviously much more than the money and even more than principle. And I think belief can come in because you feel so close to this mission, right? You feel so close to wanting to do this for your family. When you brought that into the game, how much did that weigh on you?
So the first part of the game, it didn't weigh on me too much because there's so many people. We all know we all have a very slim chance. But as time goes on, the bunk beds get smaller and smaller. The faces you saw every day slowly begin disappearing. The voices you heard every day slowly begin leaving your memory. The level of the noise every day gets quieter and quieter, and there's more space. And then as that's going on, you feel closer to the money. Because yes, there's a piggy bank with a lot of money from day one. But when there's hundreds of people, it's like, yeah, that piggy bank's so far up there. But as space keeps getting more, you keep getting more and more space in the dorms, well, maybe I do have a chance of getting the money. And at some point, you actually begin believing if I play my cards right, I'm going to be the one walking out with this money. And so this later part of my game is when I really began going, okay, I came in here with a mission. I made a promise. When I first made the promise, it was kind of like a cheeky, I'm totally going to win promise to my family. But now that I'm so close, it's no longer just a cheeky promise. It's a promise I can actually make come true. I think that's why I lost. It's because the closer I got, the more the promises I made weighed on me because the more realistic they became. And the more realistic they became, the more I felt their weight. You know, the weight of $4.56 million on my back. And that just kind of made me not lock in. It kind of made me lose focus and made me lose sight of like what I needed to do to get to the end.
You mentioned that you didn't follow your gut in the last game, yet everything I heard is very much belief.
Something they kind of cut out. Blake came up to me right before the round I got out and said, "Hey, we need one more person. We think the number 9. We need one more person. We have 8. If you come with us, we got a room of 9. We're all fast. We can make it." And something in my gut told me, "Go with Blake. Go with Blake. Go with Blake." But the group I was with, I made a promise that I would not abandon them. We saw so many people spazzing out, abandoning their people, and I'm like, I promise my group, do not freak out. Do not be afraid. I will not abandon you guys. And my gut was telling me if you go with Blake, you're gonna make it to the next game. But I couldn't break my promise, so I went against my gut for the first time in the game, and then I get out like 10 minutes later, and I'm like, damn, I should have gone with Blake because we ended up having too many people anyways. But it is what it is. I don't know, next time, never not trust my gut. If my gut tells me to break my promise and go with Blake, I should probably go with Blake.
Well, when you play Survivor, right? You're going to remember that.
Exactly. I'm gonna remember it. I just need to focus on what my gut is telling me and go with it. Focus on my belief and go with it.
You're seeing the dynamics also of the strengths and how they relate directly to the game outcome, directly to how you made a critical decision, right? You said that you're prioritizing your friends, and that's something you don't regret, even for $4.5 million. And what you said is even more profound. By stepping out, you might be able to encourage one other person to make a sacrifice for the, call it the greater good, or else everybody's out, right? And you have 10, 9, 8,
Yeah.
not that much longer.
Yep. I'm like, either way, I'm dead. I stay in this room, I'm dead with 15 other people. I step out of this room, I'm dead with only 5 other people. If I step out, I give someone the opportunity to grow in the game and go far. And because of that, 2 of the people I stepped out for are in the final 5. So like it makes me so proud that they didn't just throw it all away, that they actually dug deep and fought hard to go far, and now we get to watch them battle it out.
So when you were watching episodes 5 through 8, you had a lot of skin in the game.
Yep. I stepped out for Faith. You know, Faith's in there, Steven's in there, Kevin was in there. Kevin went out on Chutes and Ladders with Steven. Faith went out in Circle of Trust. Deja and Steven are still playing the game. There was also a guy named Nick. Nick's one of my best friends, player 86. He got out in marbles, but at least he made it to another game.
That's true. Well, I know our time is almost up here. So I want to end with the quote you said, and I think it's very poignant. You said, I always wondered if I really was the man I said I was, or if it all a facade. This game showed that, yes, I will stay true. What did it mean to prove that to yourself on such a big stage?
It means a lot to me. I'm a big fan of movies and TV shows, and I just love people wholeheartedly. If it came down to it, where there was a situation where it's between me and someone I care about, I view myself as a protector. I view myself as someone who would do whatever it takes to protect the people I care about, because I want the people I care about to be safe, to be loved, to be protected. But you never really know how you're going to react until you're in a pressure cooker situation. In Mingle, we saw people crack and yell and cuss and say not very nice things. And I'm like, if it came down to it, is that how I would react? Or would I still be a protector of the people I care about to the very end? And Mingle showed me that even when it's crunch time, even when you have 10 seconds left, even when it's this high pressure situation, I will still be the one to protect my friends and family. And that makes me comfortable going further into life, knowing that I will protect people at all costs, especially because I want to be a dad one day. I want to have a family, and being a protector is a big part of being a father. And this has kind of showed me that, hey, like, I won't let negative things consume me. I will still be positive to the very end.
While you may have lost Squid Game, I did too. You went a lot farther, But you won the that matters most, your mom's game. You won the game of keeping that promise, and I know you made her proud. And your story is a perfect example of living strengths first. Even it comes at what seems like a cost at the time. When you say money's not everything, what matters even more, someone like you, it's who you are, right?
Yeah.
And by passing that test, right? That's a test that you'll never get on Squid Game, is knowing that who you are is who you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
So my last question is, how does it feel to have this stage right now? And what's one thing that you'd want to tell anyone out there who may be questioning who they are? What's something that you would tell them so that they can be comfortable with being who they are?
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know who they are, I would just say, and this might sound cheesy, but just experience life and not just go through the motions. Part of what helped me learn who I am is putting myself in wild situations, joining a fraternity, going to college 8 hours away, going on Squid Game, putting yourself out there and experiencing life in every facet shows you who you are because it shows you how you react to things. The world shows its true colors to us and the situations it presents us, and then we show our true colors back and how we respond. And by putting yourself in a lot of situations and seeing how you respond, that's when you kind of get to know this is who I am, this is how I think, this is how I act. And you might surprise yourself with how strong you are, or how smart you are, or how far you are able to go in situations you could have never even imagined a few years ago.
Your past self is very pleasantly surprised of your now self, and your future self will thank you for that.
Yep, yep. I
That's
if
a
I
good
could talk to
that's a good one.
if I could talk to 5-year-old me, I know that he would be overjoyed by the fact that I got to go on and
Very proud.
compete.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's more stuff coming down the line for me. I mean, I think this is opening
This is just a
opportunities
start,
for
man.
yeah,
You definitely gotta get you on Survivor.
yep, yep.
So, August, thank you so much for showing us what real authentic strength looks like. It's been an honor. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your time and your candor and your vulnerability. Really appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning into Squid Strengths. August proved that having positivity and includer isn't just about being nice. It's a survival strategy. But as we saw, even your best traits can become blind spots when the pressure cooks. Don't let your nature become your downfall. Discover your own competitive edge by taking my StrengthsSourced Catalyst quiz right now at strengthsourced.com. And buckle up for next week when player 410, Isaiah Brooks, is in the hot seat to explain critical decisions he made as a monitor, which led the infamous monitor moment. You do not want to miss this. Subscribe to Squid Strengths on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube podcasts. I'm Coach Bryant Raymond, player 164. Let's lead and grow strengths first.